Okay, welcome everyone to this Paperpile workshop. I'm Janet Reyes. I'm a librarian here in the Research Services Department at UC Riverside Library. And happy to spend the next hour, probably less, but could go up to an hour, sharing what I know about Paperpile, which is the citation manager that you can use with Google Docs. And you can use it with like Microsoft Word as well, but that's a secret that not many people know. So anyway, welcome today. If you are listening and you registered for this workshop, I will be sending you a copy of the slides. I have your email address through Eventbrite, and I'll be sending you a copy of the slides when we're done. So you might want to watch your mailbox or your inbox or your spam for that. The slides have some links that will be useful for you if you explore using Paperpile further. So hopefully that will be helpful. And this workshop is being recorded, obviously, and in about a week or so, we'll have the caption corrected version of it on the library's YouTube channel. So you'll be able to catch that recording in about a week. And I'm going to share some links in the chat that will take you to where that will be on the library's YouTube channel. Also the library website. And at the end of this workshop, I am going to share a link for a survey. I know we're all tired of taking surveys, but honestly, this is just so I can get a gauge on how well I did presenting this information to you, if it was useful for you, and so forth. It's really quick. So yeah, if you are attending this workshop, I really appreciate your feedback on that. I think that is all the housekeeping I have. So with that, we can continue. So here's the outline of what we're going to talk about today. Have an introduction. Then we're going to look at how you set up your Paperpile account. Then we're going to look at how you can add references to your personal library. Once you've done that, we'll take a look at how you can manage those references inside a Paperpile. And then finally, the big payoff is how we go about inserting citations and creating a bibliography in the papers that you're writing with just a couple of clicks. It's really pretty awesome to have that capability. So we will go into all of those things. So let's go with the introduction. Well, let's talk about citation or reference managers in general. They allow you to do two important things. One is to store and organize your references and papers. And of course, you can do this like in some other format that's more general, but these citation managers, they allow you to do it and have like things that will help you organize your papers and references specifically. And I think the big payoff, though, is like I mentioned before, if you're writing a paper and you need to have citations in it and then create a bibliography at the end, using one of these citation managers will allow you to do that very easily. Not too many headaches at all involved in that process. And that's just a super time saver and also cuts down on maybe human error that might occur when you're doing those things. So at the bottom of this slide, I have a link to a library guide, or we call them libguides. This one's about reference management in general. So it will talk about Paperpile, but it'll also talk about some of the other platforms that do similar things. And we'll talk a little bit more about those other ones as well later in this workshop. But that might be a handy place for you to refer to if you're trying to get an overview of what these things can do. And I just wanted to say that with the citation manager, there's really three, what I'm calling locations where you interact with it. One is it serves as a browser extension. So when you're searching for references on the internet and you find one that you want, if you have this installed, it's very easy just to click and add it to your profile. Then we have the app itself. That interface that you'll see where that's where you're going to have all your references stored and you can organize them as it makes sense for you. And then thirdly, the third interface there is the document that you're writing. And so you'll be interacting with Paperpile or whatever reference manager it is within the document that you're writing to help you create those citations and bibliographies. So let's ask, is Paperpile the right reference manager for you? So let's look at these 3 questions. One is, do you compose in Google Docs? And that used to be the deal breaker right there. If you don't use Google Docs, then Paperpile would not be the right one. However, in the last, I say, couple of years, I think, they've come up with a plugin for Microsoft Word. And that works. I've tested it out and it seems to work okay. But I have to add this extra footnote here that at UCR, if you were a user of Word online, Paperpile is not available for that. That's not part of the license agreement or whatever that UCR has. So yes, it's a plugin for Microsoft Word, but at UCR, not using it with Word Online. The next question is, do you use the Chrome browser or are you willing to? I know some people have different feelings about using Chrome, but Paperpile is kind of native to the Chrome browser. This language is not mine. It is actually lifted from the Paperpile website. Paperpile is known to run on Microsoft Edge and Chromium. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence that it works 100% well all the time on those browsers, but with the Chrome browser, you would be in good shape there. And then finally, do you research and write while connected to the internet? So depending on your answers to those questions, you may say, well, no, Paperpile's not the one for me. But if it sounds like it's possible still, then we'll just keep going and fill you in on how to get that set up. So any questions before I continue? Okay. Well, here's a slide that summarizes how to create an account. You'll see it's a lot of button clicking and it's pretty straightforward. I want to point out step number 4 for UCR affiliates. I say to log in with your net ID and password. And why would I say that? The answer is it'll save you a little bit of money. As a UCR affiliate, file is free for you to use. However, if you used, say, your just private Google account, the first 30 days are free, but then after that, they charge $2.99 a month. So that's not a lot of money, but if you can save that hassle of having that happen to your bank account every month, then why not? Why not go ahead and use it here while it's free? So that's why we're recommending in step 4 to log in with your net ID and password. And at the bottom of this slide, I have a link to a forum for Paperpile where they're talking about, well, suppose I leave my academic institution and go to another one, can I just bring my Paperpile from that one to my next one? And it's surprisingly difficult. I was finding as I was reading through these forum answers. However, Paperpile announced that they have a more streamlined workflow coming up. They think that they're going to release it by the end of next month at the latest. So I'm giving this workshop in late October. So depending on when you're listening to the recording or whatever, this may or may not be in play by the time this information reaches you, but just to let you know that migration is a bit of a pain right now as I'm speaking, but maybe in a month or 2, it's not going to be as painful to do that. So when you start Paperpile, thinking is initially turned off. And what that means is that you're on a device, you've installed Paperpile, you find a paper that you like, you put it into your Paperpile, you're only going to see it when you have that particular Chrome browser up and running on that device. So what you would like to have, one of the beauties of our world today is that you can get to your files from many different locations, a desktop, and then a laptop over here, something like that. So if you want to be able to see consistently all the sources that you've collected from wherever you've been as you're using Paperpile, what you want to do is enable sync. And to do that, what you do is when you're in Paperpile, you go to the top right where your profile initial or photo is. One of the things that you click on after that is settings, and then go to data and files. And then under cloud storage, there's a switch you can toggle on to make that syncing happen. And what I wanted to do right now before I go further is maybe just pause the slideshow and show you what the Paperpile interface looks like for me. I think the rest of the slides, I have like screenshots of a portion of it here or there. I just want to show you the whole context. And then we'll get back to the slides. So let me just, this. And so this is what my Paperpile looks like. Here are all the references I've collected in the middle. Over here on the top left, you can see I can add things from within. Over here is where I can organize them with labels or folders. We're going to talk about all this later. If I click on a button, a box here, that enables this context menu to show up where I can do other things. Over here, we can filter and sort. And then I think I have the, like right here is where my initial is, and that's what I would click to get to the settings and things like that. And I just wanted to point out, you're probably seeing these pulsing orange dots. That are, if you click those, they give you some handy tips on what to do. And I think I did not mention that Paperpile had a big refresh over the summer of 2024. So if you used it like a year ago, it's going to look a lot different than what you were used to previously. And if you see some of the like material out there to help you use Paperpile, you're going to see it's been changed. So that's one of the reasons I'm giving this workshop now, because I realized, oh, they've changed a lot and it's really worth a refresh here. So yeah, anyway, some of these pulsing orange dots will help you understand some of the new features that they have. So anyway, I hope that was a little bit helpful. Let's go back to slide presentation. So remember, I mentioned that you could add Paperpile to a new browser or device. You could have it on your desktop. You can also have it on a laptop. You can have it wherever you need to have it. So here are the steps on how to install that on your additional device. Again, some buttons to push and so forth. I also wanted to point out at the bottom that Paperpile is available for Android and iOS. So if you want it on your phone or tablet or something like that, that's also possible. And that again is like, I think maybe 2 years ago was when they started offering that. So it's not been around forever and ever. It's just kind of recent. And now this is like a slide that just kind of collects some of the logistical random sort of things to know about. Once you have successfully installed Paperpile, what you're going to see is a tilted P up on your menu bar at upper right. If it's not visible, like if you're on a laptop that's got a pretty tiny screen and you don't see that tilted P, what you want to do is click on the thing that looks like a puzzle piece, and that's extensions. So when you click on that, then as you can see on the left-hand side of this slide, the Paperpile extension will be visible there. And then you click on that tilted P to open Paperpile. I've got one example of what it looks like on the right-hand side, which you might not have figured out, but those things that look like 3 books that are sort of stacked vertically, that's what you would click to open your Paperpile. Some other times, like if you were on like just a Google page where you haven't done anything yet, if you click the tilted P, it'll say you can't put this page in Paperpile, but here's how you can open Paperpile. So you'll see something a little bit different there. On a trusted machine, like one that you're using over and over again, not a public machine, when you go to sign out, it'll kind of give you this warning, like you probably want to close the app rather than signing out. So don't worry about that message. It pops up for me all the time now. But you get to it by clicking the sign out option. So there's not a separate option for closing app. You have to click sign out, and then this close app option will show up. And then I talked about the pulsing orange dots that have the handy tips for you. So that's how you get up and running with your Paperpile. Next, we're going to take a look at how you go about adding references to your library. Okay, so when you've got it open and maybe you're in Google Scholar, having the extension in your browser allows you to add papers directly from what you're looking at into your Paperpile. So on the left-hand side, I've got a couple of screenshots from Google Scholar. The one on top, that green box with the check mark in it, indicates I've already got this one in my Paperpile. So you don't have to add it again, but the one that's kind of grayed out, the one below it, that one I don't have yet. So if I wanted it, I would just go ahead and click that. And then at the bottom there from archive, similar type of thing, that grayed out Paperpile icon or button indicates I don't have that paper yet in my Paperpile. Now you can add web pages as a reference to your Paperpile. So here I have, I think, the United Nations Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals. And that's something I can save to Paperpile, but you can't save Google search results to your Paperpile now. This was kind of a surprise to me because 2 or 3 years ago, I did save Google search results to my Paperpile. So this is actually something that used to be able to do, but you can't do it now. So that's when you're browsing the web and looking for documents or articles to save. But you can also add content from inside Paperpile. And this is what we're going to go over next. I'll take these one by one, taking it from the top. So if you have documents stored on your device, on your desktop or laptop or whatever, you can just upload them, dragging and dropping them or choosing them. And what I've done is open up the supported formats so you can see the supported formats of what you can pull in. So PDFs mostly, but also citation type things as well. You can bring it into your library, or if you have folders already established, you can direct them to whichever folder you want. So that's something that you can do from inside Paperpile, is just upload documents you already have stored locally. You can create a new reference. I don't know that there'd be too many use cases for this, but if you just have something that's really weird and you can't get the metadata for it any other way, you can type it in. So you would click create new, and then you get to choose what type of item do I have? Is it a book chapter? Is it a conference paper? Blah, blah, blah. And then whatever you choose, they will give you the appropriate fields to fill in for your reference. You can search online from within Paperpile. This drop down right here, it's either articles or books, so that's a little bit restrictive. As opposed to, like I said before, you can save web pages and things, but you can search from within Paperpile. This top one, when I took the screenshot, I was hovering over it. And that's why it's that kind of shade of light blue, and I have the option to go ahead and just click add this one to my Paperpile. And there are some advanced search options. That figure that I have, that icon that I have circled in red, is your clue for the advanced search options. This is both within the Paperpile library that you have itself, and then when you're searching on the web, you have some advanced options for searching. It's kind of nice to be able to exclude certain things from the search if that pertains to what you're going after. So, yeah. Okay, you can paste URLs or other types of references like that into your Paperpile, and that'll work just fine as well. And what I did was over here where it says show examples, I just took a screenshot of some of the many examples that they give. So there's more than this, if you were in there for reals, but, yeah, you can just go ahead and paste those in. That will populate in your paper pile. And then you can import from other programs. So this is where I'm talking about the rivals of Paperpile. The ones that you most likely have heard of are EndNote. I was just talking to our medical librarian. She says in the med school, they use EndNote quite a bit. Zotero is one that I think is used quite a bit, maybe in the sciences and maybe other disciplines as well. Mendeley is another one. I haven't heard so much about these other ones here. But anyway, if you already had another citation manager such as these going, and you just wanted to bring in your references from one of those, there's a way to do it. So a couple things about PDFs. When you add something to Paperpile and there's a PDF available, it should just come in automatically. If the PDF is free, like there's not a charge for doing that. And if also you would need to be on campus or using the VPN. So it recognizes that you're associated with an academic institution that has this agreement and everything like that. So that should work, but sometimes it doesn't. So that's why I've got the troubleshooting link at the bottom for situations where it might not work as you expected.
Is it, and it might be on the troubleshooting link, but like, because I know like when we're pulling so many different papers and our UCR doesn't have agreements or subscriptions to all the things, so, or to each of the different journals and stuff. So is one reason we may not get the PDF is because like our school doesn't give us access to that journal. Okay.
Yeah, yes, but I think there are some workarounds as well. But sometimes not. So anyway, it's all. Here's some additional actions that you just might be interested in as you've got things in your paper pile. That first icon on the left lets you read the abstract. Then the paperclip lets you know if there's any attached files that you have. And then notes, you can create notes about your different references in there, and that little icon will tell you whether you have any notes created for that one or not. Okay, so that's how you collect stuff. Now let's talk about managing the things. So first of all, you can search in your library. Now mine is pretty puny. I've only got 17 things in there, and that's because I don't use it as a day by day. It's just I use it so I can give these workshops pretty much. So I just kind of select things. But if you had dozens or hundreds of things in your paper pile, that might be worth, instead of scrolling through everything, you want to search just for particular things. So you can do that. Again, there's that advanced search icon there off to the right. So you can use some advanced kind of, methods to search. But the one kind of drawback that you see in some applications, but not others, is for this one, it only searches on the character strings that are in the citation, and I should have added or in the PDF. So for instance, I was testing this out this morning and I typed in fish, and all the articles regarding octopus came up because octopus interact with fish, and that was mentioned somewhere in the text of the PDF. But I also got a different article because one of the cited authors was Fishburne. So, you can, one of the advanced search options is that you can search for the exact text. So if I had chosen that one and put fish in, it would only have given me fish and not Mr. Fishburne. So, but also the thing about this is it's only character strings that are in the citation, so synonyms may not work, right? If you're thinking of bears and it's BEARS, and the article only refers to Ursus or something, Ursa, then it's not maybe going to come up. So, I mean, that's a poor example, but maybe need to be a little thoughtful as you're doing your search terms. You have the ability to sort or filter what's in your Paperpile. So the sorting, I think the default is by date added, the date that you added it, but as you see, there's other options. And then the filtering. Like I said, I only have 17 references. And the top part of this filtering, that all made sense to me, is like, has a PDF, it doesn't have a PDF, that's very binary. So all of these numbers add up to 17. But down here, my numbers added up to 18, and I'm like, what? But it turns out that this one review is also counted as an article. So I guess that's a possibility that some of these things may fit into more than one category. So, but anyway, if that makes sense for what you need as you're searching through all the hundreds and hundreds of papers that you've collected, you know, you can search for them or filter them in various ways. So now we'll talk a little bit about organizing. You can use folders, and you can also use labels, and they're similar. You can use one or the other or both. Let's talk about folders first. So you create a new folder by clicking the plus sign that appears when you're hovering next to my library. So this to me was not super obvious. It's like, how do I add a new folder? And I just had my cursor moving around, and it's like, oh, there's a plus sign, and that's how you do it. So just want to hover like right here, and this plus sign will show up. Then once you have it created, there's 3 ways to add an item to a folder. Very similar things happen as far as labels go. So if you cursor over one of the items in your paper pile, you'll see these 6 dots show up, and that kind of gives you a handle to drag it around. So you can drag it over to the folder that you want it to go in, or you can grab the folder and drag it to your item. That it works both ways. Or what you can do is check that checkbox next to your title. That will make that context menu at the top show up. And under the folders, you'll have a list of all your folders, and you can populate your folder that way. That might be really handy if you've got like a bunch of references that you want to put in the same folder all at once. So that might be good. More about folders. If you've got something in a folder, it's still going to appear in your main list of all your things. It's not going to be hidden away now that it's in a folder. You can create subfolders, and you can change the order of folders as well. So labels, very similar. Now you can add a new label by clicking the plus sign that appears when hovering next to labels. And the same 3 ways of adding a label to an item. Drag the item to the label to the item, or select an item and then choose the label from the drop down at the top. And similar, I didn't say this for the folders, but it's kind of intuitive. If you click on the label in the left sidebar, you will get a view of only the items that have that label. Similarly, if you click on a folder in the left-hand side, you'll just see the contents of that folder. So I was thinking, like, one way you might want to use folders and labels together is maybe you're taking classes in the same discipline, maybe 2 classes in the same discipline at once. So you have a folder for one class and a folder for another, but you've got some topics that are maybe, shared among those 2. So you could assign a label to those, and you could sort the things either by the class that it's associated with, or the topic that it is, or something like that. So anyway, it's all up to you as far as how you want to use this organizational tools, if you want to use them at all. I also wanted to mention that you can edit the metadata. Remember, I said sometimes it seems like people will need to type it in by hand. And if you discover an error or something, what you can do is click on the item to select it. Then you get that context menu that pops up. You select the pencil, and then you can go in and edit whatever you need to in that record or that item. And we talked about PDFs a little bit. So you have some choices you can make regarding how you manage your PDFs. The default is to look at the PDFs within Paperpile, which gives you the option of adding notes and annotations. But there's a couple other options there you see as well. I think the default is for the automatic download of article PDFs. I think that's how it's set up, but if for some reason you didn't want that to happen ever, you would toggle that off. So this is a view of the PDF viewer in Paperpile. It kind of shows you the kind of things you can do. You can mark it up, you can add notes, you can do all kinds of things. Circle things, whatever you want to do with that. So, and then these things can be shared. If you're collaborating with other folks and you want to share items from your Paperpile, and that this would be helpful, then you can go ahead and share the PDF with your annotations in it. And talking about sharing, you can share references from within your Paperpile two different ways. It'll create a link for you, or you can share it via email. And then I think my next slide is about sharing a folder, right? So if maybe you've got some stuff that's just yours and yours alone, but you can also create a shared folder. So with your collaborators, they would have their access to anything within that folder if you set it up that way. So some folders could be shared and some folders may not be. So, and then you see there's options on how to share that link. How to share that folder. Okay, citation styles. I think most of you might be aware that different disciplines have different citation styles that they prefer. Some are APA, some are Chicago style, some are MLA, there's hundreds of them, right? So what you can do in Paperpile is set up what you want your default citation style to be. Maybe that's your main discipline, where you're going to be doing the most of your paper writing. But, if you do take that random class that's in some other discipline, they use a different style from what you're used to. What you can do is go in and select the papers that you need in a different citation style. And I'll make that context menu at the top pop up. You use the quotation icon kind of thing. And one of the drop downs at the very bottom of that drop down is change the citation style. So you can do that for selected papers. So you could have the majority in the default, but then find certain papers that need to be in something else and go ahead and change those. Okay, just wanted to ask if that all makes sense so far. Does it sound good? Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Just came in a little late. I'm not sure if you mentioned it previously. After we graduate, will we still have access to use Paperpile?
I know what the answer should be. I don't know what the reality is. I believe that once you stop being a UCR affiliate, you would not have access to the Paperpile that you've set up with the UCR account anymore.
Okay.
However, I think the people on campus who control that is ITS.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they've got something automatic set up or if it's something they do a sweep every once in a while. That I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I don't have a definition.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, but we did talk about there are ways for you to take what you've got in your current Paperpile and pull it into another Paperpile that's associated with a different Google account. It's a little clunky, right? It's very clunky right now, but Paperpile has announced that starting in November, they're going to have a more streamlined way to do that.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, well, we're almost done. We're gonna get through this in a hurry here. And let me just pause for a second. Paste the links that I wanted to share with you. Chat. So that includes a link to the survey that we got and where you're going to find the recording about a week, maybe as soon as I can edit all the closed captioning and stuff. But you'll also be getting if you've attended today, you'll also be getting an email from me with all the same information. So it's all good. Okay, so here's like the third phase. I talked about you've got Paperpile in the browser, you've got the actual Paperpile app itself. Now here's where you're using Paperpile in the paper that you're writing, right? So you would want to make sure you're signed into Paperpile and open your Google Doc as you're typing away. And now here's where I want to cite this particular paper. So place your cursor where you want that citation to go. And remember the punctuation, you know, all that things about commas and periods and things like that. Put your cursor exactly where you need this citation to go. So when you're in Google Docs, we'll use that. What you'll want to look for is that tilted P, similar to what we were seeing in the browser window. That's going to be your insert citation icon. So you've got your cursor where you want it, you click that tilted P, then a box appears. And what you can do is search among your papers for the one that you want to use. Like here, you may see at the bottom, I've just started to write the word octopus and all my documents about octopus came up. And I think, oh, I want this top one. That's handy. So I would click on that. And then what would happen is you'd see something like we see down here at lower right. And just go ahead and click that add citation and poof, it's in your document. The standard way, right? So it's like the authors and the date. However, there's ways that you can edit your citation. Sometimes you need to add prefixes and suffixes, like the same authors wrote several papers in the same year. So you need like 1963A and 1963B or something like that. You can add page numbers. Sometimes that's what you need to do. So within your paper, you would click on the citation that you've just added, and then it gives you the options to do those kind of things, or suppress the author. Sometimes like you're already talking about the author in the sentence and all you need is like the date of that particular reference. So Paperpile can do that for you as well. And then this is the part that, yeah, I sure wish I had this. And I know lots of graduate students, when they find out about these kind of things, they say, oh, I wish I knew about that. So now it's time to create the bibliography for this paper that you've written. So the first couple steps are what you would do anyway. You would, have a page break or a few lines between your main text and where your bibliography is going to go. You're going to type the correct title according to the style you're using. So for MLA, it might be references, I don't know, or some other style. It might be works cited, whatever is supposed to be the standard for the style that you need to use. Now, instead of using that tilted P from within your Google Doc, you want to look for the word Paperpile on the top menu bar. You want to click that, and then from the drop down that appears, you would click that Format Citations. And you'd also want to do this if you've like edited your paper and you've removed a citation or you've added a new one. Every time you do that, you want to kind of refresh it and bring the bibliography up to date. So the first time you do this, you might get a message about authorizing. Just allows it to do this function. It gives them permission to do this. And this tip that I learned the hard way is that if you have more than one Google Drive account open at the time you're trying this, the thing is just going to loop. Don't do anything. So I was like, oh no, this is not working. And then I finally found the answer, which I had to close my personal Google Drive account, and then it worked fine. So just have the one open. And then poof, you get your bibliography in the right order, in the right format, all at once, just based on whatever citations you have put in the body of your document. It's wonderful. Lastly, it is possible for you to edit a reference from the bibliography. So what you would do is click on one of them. It allows you to open it. Then you can go back to Paperpile and take a look at it. You can look at the PDF. You can edit the citation you can delete it, whatever, so. Is it, and so here is a helpful slide with more help as you go along. I mentioned earlier that Paperpile did a big refresh this summer. So when I've gone to their help center, it keeps saying it's under renovation, you know, go here for now, but we'll have something better coming up in the future. So depending again on when you actually interact with the help center, it may be all ready and you won't have those kind of messages. But for now, that's what I'm seeing. But you can still get the help you need. It's just a little bit of a run around to get to some of the items anyway. Troubleshooting is always helpful. And there's a forum, like I said, that's how I found out about the ability to transfer from one Paperpile to another one associated with a different Google account. They've got a handy section there on how to write a paper using Paperpile in particular, but just kind of, it has some guidance on writing research papers in general. And then lastly, I do have a library guide about Paperpile. I have not had the opportunity to update it with this new refresh. So it's my goal to get it done this quarter. I just haven't gotten there yet. If nothing else, if you go there, you'll see what Paperpile used to play. And you know, the functionality is pretty much all the same still. So I just have to update that to match what we're seeing on the slides. And that's it. So I hope this has been helpful. That's not the most exciting thing in the world unless you've fronted writing papers and then all of a sudden it becomes pretty darned interesting to know that you have this ability to use a device, an application like this and make your paper writing a whole lot simpler. So it was not my intention to promote Paperpile as like the best one you should use. I just wanted to present the information about it and you can make your decision on whether to use this one or another one or do something else. Anyway, that's it. I can take any questions you may have. Yeah.
Thank you. So just one question. You mentioned how we can organize the papers in the database. However, will this organizations or those things be how to say, when you really insert your citation, will you see that if you particularly want like the papers in this folder, will that be possible? Because what I noticed is that when you're doing when you insert the citation, you just search some keywords of the paper. What if is it possible, like I just want the papers in this folder? Will that be possible? Is there like a function?
Question. I don't know the answer to that, but it sounds like that would be a very, very helpful feature for it to have.
Yeah. So otherwise, why would I organize a database, right? If it's not something, particularly, I just want to search this area of the papers. You know, like whether this is doable with the Paperpile or.
You know, I did not see any mention of it, but I don't know if that means it's not possible, right?
Okay, so if I want to know, do you know like any place I should ask about this function or something? Wonder.
Where I would turn is to the forum that I
Okay.
had on the previous slide, and see what has come up there. Also, between now and when I send the emails out, I can take a quick look and see if I can find any information about that.
Okay.
About using like folders or labels.
Yes. Yes.
Used to search,
Yeah.
doing your citations. Yeah, very
Okay.
good point.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
One more question. So this is only on the Google Docs. If I go with like any just Word or other files, I cannot use this, right?
They do have a plugin for Word, Microsoft Word. And I have tried it and it seems to work pretty well for
Okay.
a limited trial, so that's okay. I have a slide earlier on, I think you came in maybe after I had shown that slide. However, at UCR, if you use Word Online, Paperpile does not work with that.
Oh, okay. Okay,
That's something to do with the license agreements with Google and Microsoft. or
Okay.
whatever, so, yeah.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, great questions. And if there's nothing else, I guess we have a few extra minutes in our day, so that's all good. For those of you in the room, there was a sign-in sheet. If you didn't sign in on your way in, I appreciate it if you sign in on the way out. And thanks, and keep an eye out on the library website for other workshops that may be of interest to you. We're here to help you guys with your academic career. So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.